Once again, welcome to Fulton Street Beats. If you are new here, thanks for joining. Thanks for tuning in. And if you're not, welcome, old friends. Today we're going to be discussing a few things new that have been happening in the studio. Namely, some new studio monitors that are quite phenomenal and quite cheap. Very cheap. So I ordered up these, if you watch my last video, I ordered up these Amazon Basics, and they labeled them as a bookshelf, an active bookshelf speaker. And they are pretty large bookshelf speakers, I guess you could say, but for me, they fulfill a different purpose. They fulfill the need for another studio monitor. Normally, bookshelf speakers don't make good studio monitors because they overproduce sound that make them pleasant to the ear. And with a good studio monitors pick out the details that you don't want to hear. The unwanted things. So you can edit and try to get rid of the trash, if you will. These things ended up producing a sound wave that was perfectly flat when needed with a lot of clarity. So they fit the bill almost perfectly. They're stout, they're heavy. Together they weigh over 23 pounds. Their only downfall is they don't have a lot of inputs on the back. If they could have been sheer perfection if they had a couple of XLRs or even some REAs, but we're limited with a 3.5 millimeter aux jack and a digital optical input. So that's the downfall. But I have adapters, so we can make things work. But it just would have been much easier running into mixers and stuff with an XLR. So I hope Amazon does come out with something like that. Maybe that's why they classified these as bookshelf speakers. Now, if you don't know a lot about speakers, these 5 1/4 drivers in these are really first rate, really heavy magnets, and they sound amazing. You run these with a subwoofer if you want these for your home theater or what have you, or just if you're just a regular audiophile, and probably won't buy these anyhow because they're so cheap if you're an audiophile. But if you do happen to get the stick out of your ass and buy something like this, well, you're going to be surprised because they do reproduce sound across a frequency range. It's really unheard of in a speaker in this price range, or even a lot of high-end speakers. So Amazon did something right. Now, I have a feeling I know where Amazon is getting these and who is building these for Amazon, because they are very familiar. As a matter of fact, there's another pair out there that run in the $550 to $600 range that look identical in the cabinet area, but they do have your bass and treble knobs and your mid knob on the front, on the bottom. And your eye down here for your remote control is simply moved to the top. But aesthetically, they are the same. So I believe that's who, I'm going to always let you guys do your own research on that, because I don't want to make claims that are not true, but you can draw your own conclusions. You can find this exact same cabinet design. No, it's not Edifer, although it is reminiscent. There is another brand out there, and you'll look and you'll see them. Kind of has something to do with a bird. Anyhow, I digress. A good studio monitor still doesn't get the job done unless you have some decent isolation mounts. And in my case, in my studio is far from complete. It is far from being acoustically correct. And as I work on it, as the funds become available and I work on it, we do things slowly. But there's always a starting point, and you'll watch a lot of videos and a lot of guys say that there's correct ways and incorrect ways of doing things. And well, for a lot of people who don't have a lot of money, we have to start slowly and build our way into it. And the purpose of this channel is not only to give you guys cool drum beats and such and just have some fun. It's also to inform and to let me be the guinea pig for products that you might not normally buy. Products that might be cheap, that are frowned upon by your upper echelon of home studios. Can we make things work? Well, we're making things work. We're working with a cheap BM800 microphone. We have some very inexpensive Amazon basic bookshelf speakers as monitors that work very well. They replaced, well, my JBLs. And the JBLs went up, and then I was stuck using, for a few weeks, some THX desktop speakers with a subwoofer, and that was horrendous for trying to get any kind of information back to the ear that was correct. These, however, are amazing, and they blow my JBLs out of the water. And I will tell you, for what I paid for these things, I'm ecstatic with them. If they hold up, which I have no reason to believe that they won't, but if they do, I won't be changing out studio monitors for a long, long, long time. And what the beautiful thing about these is you can set these for a near field, or if you're getting fatigued, you can pull back away from them and adjust them. And they still do what they're supposed to do in a home studio environment, even though they aren't made for home studio, if you will. But anyhow, they sit on these isolations that I ordered at the same time. Now, I was using some homemade isolation mounts previously. And while they served the purpose and they did the job, and that's the cheap way of doing it for sure, I decided I would invest in some Donner square pad isolations. And they're pretty neat because they give you 5 different degrees of angle, from 0, +5, +10, and then -5 and -10 degrees. So they're adjustable, and they hold, I believe, up to 80 pounds without deforming, which is quite amazing. And it's pretty good because, like I said, these speakers are over 10 pounds a piece. And there's no sign of indentation on these whatsoever. And they do a fantastic job of doing their job and isolating. They run about $22 on Amazon, and they do look really good. Let me pull one off here for you so you can see. So this is how they come. They come in 4s, okay? Because they're designed, you can use it as a small speaker or a large speaker, or you can space them apart to accommodate an even larger. Say you have a tower speaker and you want these in your living room. You can space these apart underneath your tower and still have them aesthetically look well without crushing them. And how they work, they lock together. And you can have your angle this way, or you can have a more extreme angle, a +10 degree, a +5 degree, or a neutral, or you can turn them around and do it the opposite way. Minus or or plus 10 degrees each way. So my speakers require, you get 4 in a package, and they look well. That's what they look like. So for the money, for $22 to have something that actually looks professional, to me, it was worth it. And I'm a cheapskate, so my homemade isolations went in the trash. But another thing we got going just a little bit ago, let's see if we got this here. My MIDI player. And I'm still messing around with this a little bit because it can be a pain. I don't have proper programs to run this because I'm running a Chromebook and it doesn't really work well with a Chromebook. This Samsung Graphite M25 really is not the best choice for a Chromebook. But at least I can make some noise, and we'll have to get some editing software in here to run this MIDI player. But MIDI applications on a Chromebook are really hit or miss, and it's definitely mostly miss. But it does work. And so it does work, at least. Somehow there's some kind of weird delay going on with it. Don't know why right now. Usually it's not there, but I got to play with it some more. So we got the MIDI controller working. Now we got to assign our knobs. That may be a whole entire video in itself. So we'll close this down because this doesn't do us much right now. However, what else do we have? Well, like I said, we're setting up the studio, getting everything correct. We have the turntable set up. We're getting our albums placed. We're getting our tube amps put in place. We're running our wires. We've ran new electrical. We've painted walls. We've put up chair rail. We're cutting in at the moment on the top. We will be putting up some new sound panels, acoustic treatments, what have you. We have some acoustic treatment curtains, heavy ones. We'll be doing a new carpet, and as you can see behind me, we have the Roland VAD306 V-drum electric kit that really is fun to play on. And as you can see, I hope, it is wrapped in a beautiful Sonar Martini Kit Aqua Reminiscent wrap. And if you haven't seen that video, it's on my backup channel, Fulton Street Beats 2. And I have an install video on how to do that on the cheap. I have around $16 into the wrap for the kit. It's super easy to do. Electronic drums, don't let them scare you. The head's removed just like regular drums, and you pull off the entire electronic component. The two hardest things to do with an electronic kit is cut the circle for the vent for the bass drum, which is actually pretty easy, and take off the badge on the snare drum to put back on afterwards, which is also pretty easy. If you watch my video, you'll see how to do that. Very easy. I have a couple hours invested in doing it. $16 in the wrap. And what is the wrap, you ask? Well, the wrap itself is craft sparkle vinyl, also from Amazon, that I took a chance on because it's the only color I could find that was close to the Martini kit. I went through, I looked at Bum Wrap, I looked at all the different manufacturers for that that perfect wrap that I could find to emulate that Sonar Martini kit, and I couldn't find any. And I came across this, and it looked close, and then it arrived, and it exceeded my expectations. And if it doesn't last, I'll do it again. It's not a big deal. What's great about this wrap is I did not stick it to the entire drum, so the wrap underneath is perfect. All this is doing is protecting the wrap underneath. It won't get scratched. It won't get marred. The wrap sticks to itself, basically. And you're just putting some holes in it, put your hardware back on, and easy peasy. And how is this Roland kit itself treating me? Pretty good. The module's great. I find that the factory settings are probably the best settings as far as recording goes, although I am experimenting. And you can accomplish almost any sound you want. I even got to pull off some Bonham stuff the other day that I really didn't think I was going to do. There's a song where he does some recording, and they did it in a castle. So you were getting a big echo. And you thought he was hitting his bass drum 3 times, and he wasn't. He was hitting it twice. But you're getting the echo because it was recorded at the bottom of the base of the stairs in a castle. And I actually was able to emulate that sound. And that was really neat. So, pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. If you are an acoustic drummer, as I was for, well, my entire life, and you come into the world of an electric kit, if you're like me, you are, no, I'm never going to do it, not going to do it, no, can't do it, I'm traditional, and I'm going to tell you, right now, acoustic drums are amazing. Why? There's craftsmanship, there's workmanship in your high-end kits. And it's really hard to go to an electric kit because of that reason. But they're two different animals. You see, an electric kit doesn't rely on the quality of the wood or the resonance of the wood, frequency response of the wood. It doesn't rely on so much on head tuning or resonant head tuning or snare tuning. What it relies on is triggers and such. So all the work's taken out for us. We just have to go in and find the sounds that we want. But we also have to kind of tune the mesh heads a little bit. Me, I tune mine for feel, and I do listen to make sure the tone is correct going around the kit as far as ascending and descending according to tom size or what have you. But when I dove into this and I took this kit apart, they're not a quality craftsmanship drum. They're just not. As a matter of fact, the shells are on par with what you might find with a Griffin snare on Amazon or eBay. And if you're familiar with those, you can make them sound decent if you recut the bearing edges and tune things up a bit and change your snare wires. But they're not a piece to be proud of, for sure. They can serve the purpose. And you can make them sound decent, but you got to put some money into them. And that's what they did here. They skimp on the craftsmanship. Horrible bearing edges. And I say this because I used to build custom drums. Wicked Nation custom drums, Baker Percussion. And the bearing edges are horrific. The quality of the ply, the quality of the wood they use is not that great, although it is uniform at least. So when Roland upcharges you for the size or depth of a tom, it's kind of smoke and mirrors. Because the cheapness of that wood, I mean, you can almost get you put two of these toms together. They basically took a tom, cut it in half, and you have two drums. They've saved on materials. They do have really good triggers, and they got good modules. And that's where the sound's coming from. The quality of the shelves themselves, going to wood like that. What they did is they didn't create an illusion because they know we like the look of these kits. And they created a half-depth shell saying, look, it looks more like a traditional kit because that's obviously what we want. And then if you want even deeper shells like they sell, your traditional size shells, wow, they upcharge a lot, don't they? But the thing is, they're still not that great of quality. So for what they upcharge, it isn't worth it. Now, what I'm going to be doing in the future, because I love the Roland. I went Roland because Roland has good triggers, got good modules. I like their heads. Their mesh heads are first rate. Everything sounds good. It works good together. But I'm going to build my own shells again. And I'm going to drop all of these components eventually into them and have a beautiful kit that is a work of art that has some nice Roland components in it. And I think that's the route that I want to go. And what will I do with these afterwards, these shells? Honestly, I'll probably sell them. That's what I'm thinking. And recoup some of my investment into a traditional kit, if you will, with some nice drop-in Roland components. The triggers are phenomenal. They're very sensitive, and they work really good. And I was skeptical because, like I said, I'm a traditional drummer, acoustic drummer, and I wasn't going to buy one, but where we moved, I did not want to disturb the neighbors. So I started looking into e-kits, looked into the Elise, bought it, but they didn't have them in stock at the time. After a little research, I went with the VAD306. It fit the bill for what I thought it needed, and then I visited before I purchased. I went to my local music store, and I sit down behind the smallest little electric kit that I've ever seen, and it was a Roland kit, and I played on that for a little bit in the music store. And when I took my headphones off, I looked at the guy and I go, I want. Just about 10 minutes of horsing around, and it did what I needed it to do, and it was on a cheap kit. It was $700. So I'm not even sure what it was, but I would have bought locally, but it would have been forever to get it. So I ended up ordering mine through Sweetwater, and they gave me a hell of a deal. Sweetwater they come through all the time. So I got a nice DW snare basket. I got a nice Gibraltar throne. And I got a really nice DW hi-hat stand. And then I got another set of DW 2000 pedals, double bass pedals. And I run the 2000s because they're inexpensive for one. They always work. Their action is always decent. And for the price of those, I never have them go bad. They're fixable usually. So that's what I went with. And by the way, Sweetwater threw in that beautiful DW snare basket, which has also an adjustable tom basket, however you want to look at it. They threw that in for nothing. So that was really cool. How's the cymbals, though, on an electric kit? Pretty good. As long as you got your headphones on and you're playing them, you forget that you're hitting pieces of rubber. You forget because they're sensitive. almost sometimes too sensitive because I'm pulling off little ghost notes on the cymbals that I really didn't know or haven't heard before. So it's pretty neat. The bass drum is so sensitive that I can ghost note the hell out of it. Sometimes it's unwanted. Sometimes you have to readjust your playing style because things are so sensitive. But that's the fun of it. And it's grown on me. I love the kit. I'm not knocking Roland at all. I think they made a phenomenal kit, and I get why they do it. It's cost effective, but I think they really jump their prices up too much when you go to deeper shells. Way too much. Because I assure you, as a drum builder, they have nowheres near in it what the upcharge is. And it's that simple. Now, looking back, am I sorry that I bought an E-kit? No. It really, really does serve the purpose. And it makes recording, although I'm still learning to get the sounds right, it makes recording pretty simple right out of the box. The quality of the hardware that comes with it is first rate. Double braced, first rate. Definitely would say DW quality. All the boom arms are great. Fantastic. Nothing moves. Nothing shakes. It all works really well. So that's just a recap. Now, I will be bringing you guys a lot more reviews and a lot more videos. I got a couple unboxings that I'm going to do of some stuff that we just discussed here, such as these studio monitors or bookshelf speakers, however you want to look at it, or however you want to think. You need to watch that video if you want to see the frequency response of these. And I did a frequency sweep on them. And they did every bit of what the human ear can hear. That's what impressed me the most. And the clarity is really good. So I'll let the cat out of the bag, even if you haven't seen that video. I don't know what's going on with Amazon. For some reason, these speakers are all over the place in price. The highest I've seen them is $124.16. And that was right after I purchased them. The moment they went to my door, they came to my door, I unboxed them, I checked them out. I was going to order another pair. I went online and looked at Amazon. They jumped to $124.16. Now, this is what's going to blow your mind. I don't want you to roll your eyes. I just want you, if you see these things, and you, even at $124.16, by the way, these things, keep in mind, they blow my JBL's studio monitors, okay, IMKs, out of the water. It's not even a comparison. It's not a fair comparison. They simply are better at doing the job in the studio that the JBLs did. Just better. And to keep in mind, the JBLs are well over $300. So at $124.16, they're worth it. That's the highest I've seen them. I'd buy them again at that. But I went back the day that these arrived. So what did I pay for these initially? You ready? I'm scrolling one day. I'm looking for speakers for the studio. I skipped right by them because the price was so low. I was like, they got to be junk. They got to be junk. What are those things? I didn't bother looking at the size, the specs, nothing. I went back later on. I looked at the specs and I was like, that don't make no sense. That's something wrong there. That's something lost in translation from China. It's got to be. Oh, they're definitely made in China. There's no doubt about that. I can verify that by the box. Of course, they're made for Amazon Basics. But, however, the specifications, the weight of them, the driver, I pulled the drivers out. The drivers are impressive. The cabinet workmanship is impressive. Speaker design itself is impressive. And the sound is impressive. So, let's get to it, Mike. $50 I paid for these with free delivery. With free delivery. And keep in mind, if I remember correctly, shipped in the box, these were almost 27 pounds in the box. So somebody at Amazon fell down and bumped their head. But then as soon as I get them, they jump to 124, 16 or 14. something like that. And then they move all over the place. You know what? Let's see what they are now. Even though I covered this in my last video, let's do it again. Okay. So here we are. Going to Amazon. They've changed again because last night they were 117. Today they are 112.09. I don't know what's going on with the Amazon pricing. Are these worth 112.09? Hell yes. These weren't launched too long ago, by the way. Should you buy these at 112.09? Well, if you do, you shouldn't be disappointed. If the price drops, you still shouldn't be disappointed because you still made out. What happens if they price these things accordingly to what they really are? Now, when I first looked at these had 10 reviews. And now in the last 2 days, they have 17 reviews. So the word's getting out. Are they going to jump the price up on these and just keep them where they are for a basic speaker? Are they feeling out what they're worth? I don't know what Amazon's trick is or what they're doing. These things are first rate. I mean, sometimes I felt like I was dreaming when I bought them because there's no way you can have them built, shipped over here, pay for them, ship them to you for $50. Even at 112, hell, that is crazy. The quality at 112, the cabinets are worth that. If you have to put another driver in it, it's worth that. If these drivers ever go up, I'll go right to mono price. I'll get a monolith driver and put in it. And I bet you it won't be as good as this driver because these things are first rate. So it's really weird what they're doing here. Let's look at their ratings on this real quick. See what they got again because okay, so they got anything new? All these people are just raving about it. I think the lowest review they got, we got some people that obviously don't know anything about speakers. Now, this is a 5.25-inch driver, okay? Well, obviously, they're not bass pushers because that's what subwoofers are designed for. 5.5-inch driver is not going to give you a lot of bass, but we got somebody that says, seriously, okay, you ready? Hold on. It says, a great buy for the money. And this is what's really funny. And I hate to laugh at people, but this guy is just, I don't understand their concept of what goes on in the mind. A great buy for the money when on sale, but most suited to rock and roll as they are a bit tiny sounding when reproducing classical music. Well, I will tell you it is just the opposite. They're large when reproducing classical music because they're right in that frequency range for classical music, my friend. Rock and roll has deep bass, which is not what these are suited for. These are suited for mids and highs and even flat response, my friend. If you run a subwoofer with these, they will blow your mind. So you need to come to reality and understand how speakers operate. Now, this ran on my sweep, from 20 hertz to 20,000 kilohertz, and I could hear with the human ear the entire spectrum. And that is with a 5.5-inch driver and a 1-inch tweeter. So they did something right because that's what the human ear is capable of hearing. So a lot of you may be waiting for the price to drop back down to $50. You may feel that the 114, 16 that they're at now is too high. Although I assure you it's not if you're looking for a quality speaker. Me, I'd jump on it. And as soon as I get off here, I think I'm just going to go back on Amazon and maybe buy another set because I'm quite pleased. And like I said, they blow my JBLs out of the water, and well, they cost well over $300. So I hope this kind of helps a little bit in your speaker making decision, although I'm not trying to sway you. Maybe they're too big for you. Maybe you have not the need or desire for such a large monitor. Even though they don't call them a monitor, I'm going to call them a hybrid monitor because they do it well. Maybe you need something smaller. Maybe you're happy with a 3-inch driver. Maybe you're happy with some Mackies. Maybe you're happy with, some JBLs, some smaller JBLs, or maybe anything like that. Maybe you just want a smaller monitor in general that maybe fits in nicer with your work environment according to what you have to do. But if you do have the room and you do want a quality piece that's not plasticky, that has some workmanship and definitely reproduces the sound it's supposed to, these are for you. Or if you're looking for a home theater speaker and you're going to be running a subwoofer, these are simply going to blow your mind because you're going to hear things that you aren't used to hearing. So you're running an active sub with these. Ooh, baby, look out. Because they're going to sound good. Because your mids and highs on these will pick up every single detail in whatever you're watching. There's no doubt about that. When I listen to quality audiophile recordings on these, such as jazz, any horned instruments, string instruments, acoustic instruments, my jaw drops every time. Because I'm hearing it the way I'm supposed to be hearing it. When I'm hearing the breath from the microphone. When I'm hearing the strings, the fingers slide up and down the strings. When I'm hearing the fingers hit the keys. Hit the keys on the saxophone. Even though a lot of that detail is something you might not want in there, it gives you that awe-inspiring feeling. And that's what these are doing to me. And I just still can't believe or help but think that somebody at Amazon has made a huge mistake with the pricing of these. But I'm not complaining because there's nothing to complain about. But what's hard is to convey something that's inexpensive to someone and not have them be skeptical. And I get it because I was the guy that was skeptical. I was definitely skeptical and questioned it all. But I figured for $50, if they're junk, I'll give them to my kids. They can put them in their room and beat the hell out of them. Got 2 little girls who are into music and starting to play guitar and play bass. So it could have went to them and they could have abused it till it broke. I took a chance, and when they got here, I was just floored. So thank you so much for watching Fulton Street Beats. I hope to see you back here soon. To all of my faithful subscribers that have been with me from the beginning, through the endeavors and other things, and the PCP world, and stuck around into this musical world, this endeavor, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And to my new subs, thank you so much for tuning in to Fulton Street Beats. I hope you hit that like button, share, subscribe, and remember, it's music that keeps us together, baby. Keep on rock and rolling. I'll be talking to you soon.